Hi friends, welcome to Change Started. So all of us would have heard about Control C and Control V. So what if I say C is chicken, V is vegetarian? So that's just a joke. So we are speaking about plant-based meat, which is basically imitation of meat made with all vegetarian stuff. So plant-based meat is that. And we have a cool guest with us, Abhinav Sinha. He is co-founder and CEO of Good Do, which is into plant-based foods. So welcome, Abhinav. Welcome to Change Trade.
Thanks, Varun. Thanks a lot for having me.
We would be happy to know your journey of Good Do, especially very interesting name. So tell us about that name also, and tell us how you started and how you got into Good Do. Over to you.
Sure, Varun. Thanks for having me here. As you mentioned, Good Do is a company that's into plant-based meats, right? It so happens that we are actually two different companies with a similar set of founders, which work very closely together. Where we've got a company called Good Dot, which manufactures plant-based meats, right? This is a company based out of Udaipur, where we basically use high-tech food processing and manufacturing to convert plant proteins into a form that then resembles animal proteins in animal meat, right? Where we basically break apart the proteins or denature the proteins in plant, and then realign or renature them in a different way to get the texture and feel of meat. So that is the basis of plant-based meat, where we use primary ingredients being high protein components like pea protein, soy protein, wheat, and so on, to create these unique experiences for us. Now, the drive behind this move of ours was essentially to help reduce animal cruelty and promote compassion, not by telling people that they should eat less meat or eat less of animal-based products, but by providing very, very accessible, unique, fun, healthier alternatives to animal meat, which still gives you the same experience without really hurting an animal. Right? So that was the basis for Good Dot. That was the company that we initially started working on. And then that was about in 2016 is when we formed that company and got into. So currently you can find Good Dot in stores around the country, on Amazon. We export within South Asia, and shortly we'll be moving to Canada and so on. Right. The second company, the one that I head, is called Good Do. That is a chain of vegan QSRs. So QSR is quick service restaurants. So we have small outlets which focuses on plant-based meats and completely vegan offerings. Vegan, as you know, means no animal products. So no egg, no meat, no dairy, and so on. No honey, right? Yep. So we use complete plant-based ingredients, completely vegan ingredients to create unique products. So now, if you look at the vegan restaurant space, most of them, focus on, in our mind, when you say vegan, you think of, activist, belligerent, radical folks, hugging trees and fighting with anybody who eats egg or says that they like egg or meat. And the restaurants, for example, that serve vegan food primarily are, cater to the high end, right? Relatively expensive proposition, soups and salads and whole food plant-based stuff, which is all very healthy and great. I love that as well. But that is not accessible to all, right? We Indians, we love our, paratha sabzi, our fried stuff and things. So we said that, let's not restrict veganism with that super healthy, very expensive segment. We'll take it to the masses. Right. So we created a fast food format, a quick service format, where we have everything from a fried chicken alternative, right, which will to paratha curry, which is let's say a chicken makhni, a butter chicken without butter or without chicken. Right. We've got biryani, we've got rolls, and so on. So all in a quick service format. So it's healthier version of the meat alternative that you get. So that is Good Do. And coming to your other question about the name, so there are two bits, right? Again, Good Dot, the logo is a green circle, right, with the lettering Good Dot inside it. What we've taken is we've said that, in Indian food packaging, we have either red dot or a green dot, indicating a non-vegetarian or a vegetarian product. So we've taken the green dot and we've said we're trying to do good through it. And our products that are, good for you, good for the earth, and good for animals, which is good for all. So we call that dot as Good Dot, right? And that's our logo and the name. Good Do, on the other hand, is basically it happened fortuitously, where one of our co-founders, Abhishek, who's also my brother, he was going to the factory one day, about a couple of years back. He crossed a meat shop. Something inside him stirred. He came around and he bought all the animals in that butcher shop. Right, there were a bunch of chicken and this one goat, and we created a mini sanctuary for them outside the factory. And the guys in the factory, had a huge liking to the goat, and as a term of endearment, they named him Guddu, right? Papu, Guddu, stuff like that as a term of endearment. A little later in that year, we thought of coming up with an experience center around our products. And after several permutations and combinations, we said that, well, see, some higher power has, or chance, or whatever you believe in, has through us saved this beautiful goat whose name is Guddu, and let's just give him a chance to save his fellow friends. So we named this whole enterprise after Guddu. We reworded it to be Goddo. So it connects with Good Dot, it connects with Guddu, the goat, and it has a meaning as well. So that's the story in a not so short answer.
Yeah, fantastic story. Abhinav, what made you associate yourself with Guddu and start this? I mean, part of corporate world earlier, and then you jumped ship and started your entrepreneurial journey.
About
how did that
having
happen?
an impact in the society and in following our passion of helping animals, right? So actually, it happened very early on, where my brother Abhishek, while I was a biotechnologist, he came across some paper. He's a chemical engineer. He came across some research papers way back in mid 2000s, which talked about the concept of meat alternatives. And there was a study in by a Dutch group out of University of Wageningen, University of Maastricht, where they came around and they talked about tissue culture meat. Right, and we discussed, and we were like, well, this sounds exciting. Is it doable? And we discussed that it's doable, but we don't know the kind of effort required, the timeline, the costs, etc., acceptability, safety, other things. While it seemed okay in theory, but he stayed very closely in touch with that field. While I went for my PhD in the US in to study biochemistry, I came back working in the pharmaceutical industry, as you mentioned, in the corporate world. First in R&D space, did my MBA from ISB, and then moved into strategy within pharma with Novartis. And around that time, we started looking into it more seriously. And way back in 2016, we said, all right, let's do something about it. And Abhishek left his very prestigious Indian Revenue Services job. Our very close friend Deepak, who's a serial entrepreneur, a very well-respected CA, real estate guru, finance whiz. He joined and he left his role from a large FMCG company. Shruti, our sister, she was a VP with Hilton Group in Southeast Asia and Singapore. She left it and joined us. And we said, all right, let's put our money where our mouth is. And we said, all right, let's jump in and try to make a difference.
Awesome. So that was in what year, Abhinav?
2016 is when we formed the company, but we've been doing R&D since actually 2013. I came back from US in 2012, but from 2013 onwards, we've been doing R&D on this.
Okay, so why? I mean, you selected plant-based meat as your product. I mean, it could be plant-based milk, or it could be something else related to environment. So what was the reason for selecting plant-based meat?
So there are different reasons, right? Number one, this is one of the few biggest sources of animal cruelty, right? Mm-hmm. Direct animal cruelty that's very visible, correct? B, it is a huge demand source, right? Where people see it's something that people see and do every day. right? They
Yeah.
eat meat every day. We had some technical skills with my PhD in protein chemistry and Abhishek's experience with in chemical engineering and process engineering, Shruti's experience with the culinary field, and so on. So yeah, that's where we thought, all right, let's get started with that. There are lots of other things in the offing, but that's where we started.
Awesome. So, I mean, all of you were related in that area. So that was the reason.
Somehow,
Awesome.
somehow, the universe conspired.
Yeah. So we say food is an art, but you guys are doing a science around food, and it is a big and a complicated science, right? So
Mhm.
you have a lot of experts within your team who go about making these products, or is it like central team, the founding team who does a lot of R&D? So how does it stack up?
So both.
And I
So
believe
the
it is a very capital extensive business, right? It is.
yeah.
It is. So how are you managing it?
Yeah, it is. It is both an R&D intensive as well as a capital intensive field. We've been thankfully, we've got broad support structure and network from which we could you know have people who were aligned with our thought and ideas, and who also wanted to give back to the society, who helped us and continue to help us with the finances. So that is. But yeah, you're right. It is a capital intensive sector. With respect to R&D, we have a very strong team, both within, as I mentioned, in the core team as well as in the wider team. We've got some, great food technologists and scientists and culinary experts and process guys. So it is a wider team and fairly strong, thankfully.
So, I mean, yeah, it must be tough. So, what were the challenges initially you guys faced, and how did you manage to tackle them?
So challenges first was, I guess, just drawing the courage to jump in, right? That was, I would say, the initially focus and push came from Abhishek very strongly, where he said, let's jump in, let's do it. That the pain of the way he says it, the pain of animals is so strong that drove our courage to jump in. Right? That there is so much to be done. The second thing was just the technicality, right? It's soy flour and mix it and boil it, chop it, and you get your mock meat. That's not how it happens, right? So it took a long time, to understand how plant proteins behave, how these things do, and we actually remember pulling out our undergrad textbooks and in engineering and thermodynamics and stuff, and pulling out and figuring out how to do stuff, right? The other was, we focus very strongly in getting a shelf-stable product. A lot of the mock meat players, new age mock meat players globally, the kinds you may have heard, your Beyond Meats and Impossible and so on, they are all in the refrigerated and frozen section. Right? But in India, where with a very poor supply chain and cold chain especially, that would have always been a significant hurdle in order for us to move beyond the metros. Correct. At the same time, it would have added to the cost, it would have added to the environmental footprint and everything. So we worked very hard to ensure how to get the product to be stable at room temperature. Yet another thing was keeping costs low, because we wanted it to be a mass market product. So keeping costs low was very important. So which is why, I mean, the development phase for us was fairly long and intensive, but I think in the end worth it and very important.
Yeah, I mean, you touched upon few things like affordability, and that plays a huge part in getting your customers on board. So this thing, it's a niche area. Not many of us know about plant-based meat, right? And building a mindset change as well is a huge problem, is a huge thing. Though Indians as such are mostly vegetarians, but still there is a lot of consumption of non-veg food. India has land of chicken tikka masala or tandoori chicken or kebabs and biryanis. So a whole lot of food or non-vegetarian foods are available. So how are you managing to bring that change? How are you tackling people's mindset, bringing that consciousness, awareness? So that itself is a huge change, Abhinav.
Sure.
So how are you dealing with it?
So it's going to be a number. I mean, simple answer: it's going to take a long time. It's still very early days, right? The one misconception that people have is that India is India is mostly vegetarian. The latest government data, 72% of, of course, the per capita consumption is quite low, right? Let's say per capita consumption, the rough ballpark is about 5 kilograms per person per annum, while that in US is like 100 to 120 kilograms, right? China is about 60 kilograms, right? So in that sense, a wider section of Indians are probably more of like vegetarians who eat non-veg, right? But so in terms of the mindset, you have to think of two different sets, right? Again, when you think of mindset, when you think vegetarian, right? And the moment you think vegetarian, our mind takes us into the extreme. We think of the Jains and the Marwaris and Tambrams, and who would run away at the sound of meat or a meat-sounding dish, right? Who would not eat on a table where someone's eating non-veg. Correct. And but that's not the entirety, right? That's a very small sub-segment.
Right.
So yeah, I like to think of the meat eating habits or food eating habits broadly as a continuum, as a spectrum.
Okay.
Broadly, you can call it as a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, but within vegetarian, you can break it up into what I would say a very conversions and so on.
Right.
You have who would run away, that segment that we spoke about. Then you have the moderate vegetarians who don't eat meat themselves, but they are okay going to a multi-cuisine restaurant which serves non-veg, sitting on a table where someone's eating a chicken tikka. They will not have it, but they are okay. Then you have adventurous vegetarians who are, looking at, who wonder what meat is about. Occasionally may have had egg, chukke kabhi chicken kha liya or something of that sort, right? But mostly vegetarian, right? And then you have the non-vegetarians. You first have your borderline non-vegetarians, right? Who have maybe like once in a month they would have a non-veg dish, but mostly vegetarian, right? In that segment, it will mostly be egg, occasional chicken, right? Is what the segment. Then you have the mainstream non-vegetarians who are going to be, mostly in India, chicketarians, certain areas, fishitarians, but who would eat, let's say, once a week, right? Once or twice a week. That would be the frequency. And then you have your extreme non-vegetarians or hardcore non-vegetarians, let's say, जिनको I don't care, मेरे को chicken tikka रोज का खाना है, chicken kebab रोज का खाना है, I have to have it. I don't care. I love the taste of fish and chicken and everything. So the two extremes are fruits that are higher up the tree. They're not low-hanging fruits. So we're not initially looking to target them. If they come and try, and some of them do, many of them do actually, and they love it. So it so happens that my wife is a Tamram, and her mom could not get around to even trying any of our food because even just the sound of it affected her. But once her mom had it, and she like, oh, the biryani was good. Hearing the word biryani was like out of her mouth was a big thing, and that she said it was good meant like you had achieved something, right? So that is that. But for the majority of the people, I think we've seen that people really love the food, and we're focused on food at the end of the day is about taste, right? It's about price for majority of people. It's about quality for some. It's about nutrition for few. It's about accessibility for many. So we focus on these 5 principles, right? So we create a tasty product, be at a reasonable price, which is healthier, which is high nutrition, good quality, and is accessible to you. And that at our outlet, we have a significant repeat customer purchase of our products, good products around the country. We have lots of repeat customer purchase. That indicates that, there's lots of people do love it and come back for more.
So just playing a devil's advocate, Abhinav, I mean, so there are a lot of meat eaters who would say that though their flesh and taste is one part, but I also need the bones, right? So,
sure.
So what do you have to say about those kind of people?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's individual choice and perception, right? One cannot force anyone. And to be honest, we were non-vegetarians once upon a time. I used to love the taste of animal meat. So I understand the draw, right? In future, for example, we'll probably have, we can create scaffolds, etc., which will make it give you a bony texture and add it to the thing, etc., etc. That's doable, right? But right now, of course, all our products are boneless. For those who it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But for a majority, it does.
Awesome.
So you cannot be be everything to everyone all the time.
Exactly.
So you have to choose and pick and choose your bot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you should appreciate and respect those people who are coming to you, taking and buying your product, and they are feeling good about it. So you should respect that, and I'm sure you should try to be strong.
Absolutely. So if you get a chance, do check out our Insta page, and occasionally you'll find we put up videos of people's feedbacks, and you'll have people who will say that I was a crazy I am a crazy non-vegetarian. I didn't think this was be good, but I was amazed by it. Right. So there's many of those examples that do come in, which tells us that the product. Lots of people have a lot of reservations, when they come in, if they are especially hardcore non-vegetarian or the conservative types. But when they have it, many of them get pleasantly surprised. We still can't get through to everyone, which is fine. That's okay.
Correct. So my next question is, how many product categories you are into, and what kind of products are available, and how? I mean, you mentioned you referred about it's being available on Amazon and online stores, but how can we generally access, and what are different products you have?
Sure. So for Good Dot, so again, for everything, I'll have to break it up into Good Dot and Good Do, right? For Good Dot, we have currently 9 products in the market, right? Okay. So we have some products which I would say are ready to eat products, right? Actually, let me start the other way. We've got some products which are base products, right? By base product, I mean it's a chunk of meat. You can do whatever you want with it, right? Whether you want to make a curry or a tikka or a keema or whatever, right? Okay. So it's got literally no spice or almost no spice. So you can treat it whichever way you want. In that segment, we've got a product called Veg Bites, which is a red mutton alternative, vegetarian bites. We've got 2 dry products, which is called Protease and Protease Plus, which are most available. We have some share of mind of that product because it's a dry product. We have to reconstitute it in hot water and then cook it, similar to your Nutrela, but that's where the similarity ends, because the product has beautiful texture, absolutely no flavor. So it's very, you can add whatever you add, it really takes it up beautifully. And that particular product, for example, we make a chili Protease out of it at our food truck, while a Sofitel uses it and make a chili chicken, mock chili chicken in Sofitel, Mumbai, right? Okay. So those are the base products. Then we've got 2 easy to cook products, which is a biryani packet and a pulao packet with plant protein strips, where you just take it, put it in a rice cooker or a pressure cooker, and in 10-15 minutes you've got a really good biryani or pulao ready with protein chunks in them, bits in them. Then we've got 2-3 products which are in the ready-to-eat format, which is we've got achari tikka. You can take it and put it in the microwave. If you want it spicier, add whatever spice you want and saute it with some, capsicum or whatever on a pan. Additionally, we've got a Thai green curry, which we co-manufacture with a major player in Thailand. So we send our mock meat to them, they prepare and they send it back to us. And that's a heat and eat. So, and all these products, they are shelf stable, right? So you can keep them at room temperature, no need to refrigerate till you open. Once you open, you have to refrigerate. Now, unless it's a dry product, then you can, even after opening, it's fine. Right? You can source it. We've got a tie-up with this company called RCM, which is a large company with 8,000 stores around the country and 2 million active members, sales members. It's a direct selling network. So in every city you can find, if you just search for RCM store near me or RCM PUC near me, you'll find at least 4 or 5 near you in every district, literally, of India. Additionally, we are on Amazon, Amazon Prime, we are on, we have our own e-com web stores around the country. There's, for example, Rare Earth in Khar in Mumbai, you've got Q-Mart in Hyderabad, you've got other stores around the country, individual ones. There are other vegan and other specialty food portals currently who also carry our products.
Cool. Awesome. I mean, whole gamut of foods and varieties you have.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
there's lots more exciting things coming in
Yeah,
very
that's what. So
shortly
my
as
next
well.
question is that. Yeah, so my next
Yeah.
question is, what is your future? What is your future plan? So first, I mean, tell me how is the growth has been? I mean, you have been there in the market for last 2 years. So how is the growth? I mean, if you can tell me about the kind of, revenue or what money you
So
have made. I
revenues
mean,
I cannot, of course, share because that's proprietary information. But I mean, what's publicly information that's available that we do share is still few months back we were doing close to 15,000 packs a day, and that number is growing post pandemic. So we're seeing fairly strong growth, and we've seen fairly strong good growth from the beginning, year on year, month on month. Let's say quarter on quarter growths have been quite strong as well. And the other part is, we're talking about the products. We also, of course, have products from Gooddo, which I mentioned. So we got now 10 outlets in 2 cities across Udaipur and in Mumbai. And we will be expanding slowly but surely across different metros and different parts of the country. But we are playing it, carefully and, being certain of our footing. So we also have new products coming in. Let's say, like we are entering some products with the in the canned space. So like a very premium product, which would be like a boiled chicken in brine in a can. We will have presence across several other channels, sales channels also. Our exports are going to go stronger with our opening in Canada and other geographies shortly.
So that is the reason you are looking for investors, or you are currently
self-sustainable? We are in discussions. We are in discussions at different levels with a few investors, and those things happen when they happen. Thankfully, we are not stretched in terms of resources, so we are okay. We are doing well, well enough.
Just, on the last segment, what is your personal association with nature and environment, and how do you feel about environment, and what should be done around environment? What are your personal takes?
I feel that, we humans are destroying our environment, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one. It's just quite a horror show what we've done with the arrogance with which we humans live on this earth is appalling. Right? I personally, try to do whatever little I can. Of course, most of my effort currently goes towards our companies, which, of course, has a very strong environmental angle as well, right? As you know, meat production leads to huge amount of greenhouse gas emissions, much higher than plants. It leads to much higher utilization of water, land resources. The large, for example, Amazon fires last year, a big reason behind that was, excessive farming and deforestation because of the feed required for cattle, for beef, right? Similar things everywhere. Like in India, you've got a huge amount of chickens, right? And chicken production requires crazy amount of use of antibiotics, and very important end stage antibiotics for which is required to save humanity from superbugs. But now we are just washing it down the drain literally by putting in the feed of chicken that goes into the water. Bacteria develops tolerance to those drugs, and now we don't have a safety net. Of course, the COVID is another instance of how our arrogance with wildlife and our greed and craze for meat and leads to closer association with wildlife and different animals, not just wildlife, even the domesticated and industrialized ones, which is destroying us. So through Good Dot and Gooddo, I think we are already having, and we aim to have significantly huge impact, right, on the society, on the environment as a whole. We in terms of my personal thing, we try to take care of animals in our neighborhood. We do feed them. We share information what is relevant on our social media, etc. So, and whatever I can do to tell people, maybe sometimes people may think it's probably too much, but then I don't think it's too much. We need to inform people as much as we can.
Exactly. I'm so with you. So, when you were speaking about it, I just thought that you are into 3 environment related stuff. One is that you obviously are into plant-based meat, which is into environment and sustainability and animal cruelty. Second is FMCG. So you are into FMCG in a way because you are selling products, fast-moving products. Their packaging plays a huge role, and how you can make it sustainable, I don't know whether you have or not. And third is the QSR piece, where a lot of food wastage happens. So are you guys managing to balance all those stuff?
Yeah. So see, clearly right now, so in the FMCG space, we do use plastic in our packaging, right? We try to use the highest grade plastic possible, the recyclable plastic that's possible. Currently we do not have high volume of sustainable products that we can use to keep food safe. Because a big part of you have to think of it in a sort of a whole ecosystem level, right? When you think of food packaging, right, you're also preserving that nutrition that you've created, that's already been produced, right? So if there are alternatives, and they are coming up. So for example, with plastic from beer waste, brewery waste, right? And that's a huge amount. And there are lots of other such things happening. So we will be getting more and more into that as more and more things keep getting available, depending on economy of scale, etc. Within our own plants, for example, we hardly have any water wastage. We try to reuse and recircularize the water and other things, whatever we can do. Again, with our products, our focus on the shelf stability ensures that we don't have to use refrigeration, which of course has issues again around energy usage and environmental damage, etc., etc. With our outlet, the QSR format, lots of our serving, we use paper-based serving dishes with respect to our products itself, food wastage, because we focus on lots of our product comes frozen from base kitchen, and only what's used is finally cooked up or presented at the last minute. So because it's frozen, it does not get wasted. Of course, some amount of wastage you cannot avoid, but it's very, very, very negligible, very low compared to the sector as a whole.
Awesome. I mean, you guys are doing absolutely fantastic in terms of environment and sustainability. My only thing is that keep on doing it, keep on making sure that, and we hope that your company does well so that environment is much more environment friendly and sustainable. So final thing, I mean, what is your favorite plant-based product? What is Abhinav's favorite plant-based product?
My favorite plant-based product is, to be honest, the keema that we produce with vegetarian bites in our own outlet. It's absolutely phenomenal. So for the time that we had the lockdown right now, and our outlets were also closed for about 2 months, I started missing it, and I had major sort of pangs for my own product. So clearly, I really enjoy that. At the same time, and outside of our own thing, I really enjoy Impossible Burger. I think it's a terrific product, and there are lots of other great global products as well. But for what's around me, if I was given a choice, I'd choose my keema.
No, so
I mean, good keema made with good veg bites.
Sure, definitely. I'm sure at least I would definitely try that, and I'm sure people who would be listening to you would like to try that. And so, is your QSR only in Udaipur, or has it
Udaipur and Mumbai? So we've got 10 outlets, 6 outlets in Mumbai, and 4 in Udaipur. We will have other outlets coming up, hopefully within the year elsewhere as well.
So people who are listening from Mumbai and Udaipur should please go and visit Abhinav's place as soon as things open up and things become normal. So all the best, Abhinav. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. Take care. All the best.